Okay, and we're live. Hi everyone. Hi, I'm Christian with Cryptic Hybrid. Welcome to today's special 1 hour late live stream. It's not late. It's supposed to be like this. Nobody say anything about the hour. I'm here live with Mauricio from the Game Kitchen. Hi.
Hi, Christian. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming, and we're going to talk about, well, you know what? Let's say it. Let's be realistic. The hottest project on Kickstarter right now, and that includes everything on Kickstarter. It's a game called Blasphemous, and we're gonna talk about it a little bit. But first, let's see who's making it. Mauricio, tell me about the Game Kitchen. Tell me about your studio.
Okay, so the Game Kitchen is a little development studio in the south of Spain, in Sevilla. And we are a bunch of friends who decided like 10 years ago who wanted to make games. So we came together and started working on amateur projects in the past. And with the pass of the years, we end up learning how to make them, and now we are in the development studio, and we create interesting interactive experience for our players.
Okay, that's pretty good. So tell me about a little bit about the other projects that you've had before Blasphemous.
All right, so our first title was The Last Door, and that was a point and click adventure with a horror theme, and it was like a homage to the classic horror writers like H.P. Lovecraft and Edgar Allan Poe. And what's curious about this title is that we were a little bit crazy and reduced the resolution of the graphics like a lot. We make very huge pixels, and that's why when you play it, you kind of emulate the same sensations you have when you are reading horror books. And that was The Last Door. We were working on that for 3 years. It's an episode game, and there are 8 episodes of it available on Steam for PC, Mac, and Linux, and in the mobile platforms as well.
So that was your first title, and Blasphemous is your second one, a second
Exactly.
major commercial title.
Yeah,
And
we
everyone,
did.
first of all, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I was saying that we did like some amount of contract work before that for other studios and Adver Gaming and things like that. The first 2 years of the company, and then we finally moved into making our own IPs. And The Last Door was the first one, and now Blasphemous is the new one.
Are you doing any contract work right now, or are you 100% on Blasphemous work?
No, in terms of development, we are totally focused on Blasphemous, but we kind of participate on the local scene of video game development education. So we every now and then we do courses and lectures and things like that.
Any game jams? Anything? Do you get involved in that?
Yeah, of course. We are actually pretty involved in the local jam scene, and it's very nice, very growing scene here in Seville. And yeah, the future is looking very bright for the local development scene here.
The future is bright, and no, Orange is not sponsoring this live stream. That's an old thing. But first of all, I want to say hello to everyone watching. If you have any questions, please put them in chat, and we'll see them, and we'll ask. Now, the big thing about today's interview, Blasphemous. So tell me a little bit, just an elevator pitch. What is Blasphemous exactly?
So Blasphemous is a 2D platformer that we are where we are going to be exploring a very huge world. We want to create a universe with a lot of interesting characters and lore, and a very rich story for players to uncover. And obviously, that's not all. There is going to be a lot of combat and gore and very fast and intense, rewarding action. That's like the main ingredient to it. And it has like a retro kind of aesthetics, because we all love, and we were playing a lot of arcade games back in the day. We have many people in the studio are around in their 40s, so we have like these memories from these days, and this is like a homage to our memories when we were back in our childhood playing
When
arcade
games were
games.
good.
Well,
Kidding, they're
games
good now.
are, yeah,
The games
they're
are good
always
now,
good,
yeah.
but you know,
Mm.
sometimes good to remember the roots and bring them back
Okay.
to the new generations.
I mean, if you don't know your history, right? That's, in terms of gaming at least, you're missing out a lot, I think, right? Because there are so many titles. I mean, whoever playing Mario, like, see where it began, because that some of those games really are good right now too. So that's a testament of time.
Yeah, excellent. That's why they're so huge. Emulations thing, trying to keep alive all these memories.
Yeah, and you know what? In terms of the visuals, at least, it does have a no look, but also it looks very detailed, right? I think well, we'll talk more about the visual style, but I think it's you, from the video at least, you really nail something, a combination between old school, maybe 16-bit graphics, and something that's really polished and 21st century in terms of detail.
Yeah, it's like
That's
what we are trying to do is like we were back in the 80s or early 90s, and suddenly we have managed to invent like a super dupe Neo Geo with a lot of RAM. So what could we do with something like that? So it would look
yeah.
classic, but at the same time you have the possibility to use bigger sprites, more smooth animations, because you can fit more frames in the RAM of today's computers, obviously. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to appeal to this retro feel, but bringing back to the possibilities of the modern computers and
So
consoles.
saying that, would you say that Blasphemous in terms of target audience would be both for nostalgic players that loved, right, late 80s, let's say early 90s games, and new players were just now 14 and have only played, I don't know, Mario Kart 6 and above or something?
I don't know. I would say it's more like for players that want games that actually try to make you think and try to defy some. Yeah, it's like that. It's like, let's not play with the typical stuff. Let's try to go a little bit. Let's push some limits in terms of, not technically, but in terms of what you can actually display in a game, and what you cannot, and that's what we're trying.
Because I mean, you say that you took this retro look, and of course you're inspired by games of old. Something that games of old, some of them, not all of them, but let's say as a general rule, a lot of them didn't have a story or a very detailed lore behind them, whereas Blasphemous, it seems to be very story oriented. So tell me about this decision to make narrative such an important part of the game.
Well, for us, it was like obvious choice, because we were coming from The Last Door, which is a pure narrative game, and we were very happy on how on our capacity to tell a story, and it was for us it was like an obvious choice. So we know that we are good telling stories, so let's not lose that in the new game. And it's obviously coming from the new ways they are surfacing of telling stories. They are very interesting. They are not such explicit like they were before, or like in our game in a graphic point-and-click adventure, which is all characters and dialogue, and mind you controlling a character that is always speaking their mind out loud. So now there are different techniques, and we saw, for instance, for us, the main reference in terms of narrative is Dark Souls. Many people is mentioning Dark Souls as a reference because of the visual theme, maybe, but it's actually more about the narrative. It's like we have the intention to craft a very detailed world with a lot of lore and a lot of characters and events that happened in that universe. But then we are not going to tell you that explicitly. We are going to put the results of all of this. We are going to put all these results into the art of the game, in the background, in the little sentences that the few NPC you will find will tell you. And only for the people that really want the story, they will be able to tie the knots and extract their story, their conclusions about it. That's the approach for the narrative. And I believe it's more interesting because it doesn't get in the way of those players that just want to, hack and slash their way through the game. And it also opens the possibility to for a community discussion or a community interpretation of what players thought of the thing they saw in the game. So it's much more from an artistic point of view, and for us, in our opinion, it's more interesting to do it like that. And Blasphemous is about trying that narrative technique and see how well we are able to cope with it.
So how important is discovery in Blasphemous? Because you say that you're trying to offer a narrative in new ways, in different ways than point-and-click adventure games, let's say, right? So how would the player be rewarded by by digging deeper? What are the things that, in addition to the story, do you get anything else in addition to, discovering what the hell happened to the world and what's going on with the characters? Do you want to incentivize the player to discover more about the world of Blasphemous?
Yeah, well, there's something about Blasphemous that I should mention, is that most of the concepts behind the visual concepts and the iconography of the game is pretty much based on our local folklore. So artistically speaking, the main source for inspiration for us is our own city. We've been living in Sevilla, in the south of Spain, all our lives, and we've been seeing a lot of this Baroque art, churches, cathedrals, a lot. When I say a lot, I mean a lot. I don't know if any of our listeners would have ever been here, but it's like a lot. So we're trying to take inspiration from all these elements of our culture and our real life, our surroundings. And if you dig into the Blasphemous narrative and into the story and the elements, and you start making your own conclusions and investigating here and there, then you will be like peeling layers of the narrative, and then the final layer will be the reality. And if we manage to raise your interest as players that much, then the reward is that you will be learning about a lot of interesting stuff about the very grim and creepy story of the Christianity here in the southern Spain, because we used to be like the headquarters of the Spanish Inquisition for I don't know how many years, and there are a lot of creepy
just a
stuff
few,
here.
come on.
Yeah, just a
It was
few.
a couple. Come on, it wasn't a long time. Yeah. It's just a little
And
bit.
and all of this cultural heritage is present in the city, and if you look to the buildings and stuff here in the streets in the city center, you can discover a lot of these details. And I don't know, I believe it's a very interesting approach to tangential way to expose people to this culture. It's just like
So,
the
yeah.
Japanese developers are been doing for many years. They create like this pop culture stuff like movies or animes and stuff, and many of these elements they use are based on their real ancestral folklore. And you can watch a movie and be content with it, but if you start investigating and you start getting into the Japanese culture, then you get to the final layer, which is the real folklore they have. But we try to emulate
So,
this.
would you want? So this is just personal thing. Would you want someone who plays Blasphemous after they played it, they finish it? Would you like them to be, curious, inspired by the game, so as they look more into, the background, of the inspirations of the game, like the religious part and maybe the artistic, the architectural styles, all of that? Is that a personal desire of yours?
Not especially in
Goal with
terms,
Blasphemous?
it's not a goal in terms that I want to convince people to visit Sevilla or something. It's more like for those players that are really curious and are really into get to the bottom of stuff. So when they go into this journey of getting, okay, I want to know everything about this. When they went into this journey, I want them to find this final layer of reality. So, okay, so that's why. But yeah, for most people, they will just enjoy killing creatures, and maybe they get bits and here and there of the story. So it's like, okay, you can have the experience you want. You want to have fun and go through the game killing creatures. That the game's going to work for you. But if you are like me, like a super curious person, then you will have lots of layers to peel, and the final one is a lot of interesting historical facts and real data about all this creepy stuff that is happened in Spain for centuries.
Yeah, we'll get to more creepy stuff, but first, someone who's, I think they're interested in, the details. Michael in the chat says, besides Goya, what other artists do you consider influential for this game?
What are other artists?
Yeah, like, I guess painters maybe, or, architects?
Yeah, of course, there's a famous painter from Spain called Goya. Goya has created and has worked at these themes a lot in the past. And then we have like a lot of popular, it's not actually like fine arts. We don't want to focus on fine arts. We are more exploring like folklore, like tales that have been, poems or things like that are they are in the streets and they don't end up in museums. So it's more like, for instance, we have an enemy called the Sisters of the Burnt Face, and this is based on a real it's a legend, but it's an existing legend about some person who burnt his face and and enter this to become a nun here in Seville, because there was some love affair or something like that. So this legend, for instance, is the inspiration for this character, and yeah, many things like that.
Yeah, like folklore elements. You
Yeah,
add those in addition to the.
It's mostly folklore elements. Yes.
Okay, so let's go about describing a little bit of the world. Actually, a little bit more about the world. So tell me the land where you're going to play, the land that you're going to visit, and just a little bit about it. Like, what are the people like? What's up with the religious stuff? Because that seems like a big thing. I really wonder what would happen if you take the religious part of this world. It's like, oh, everything is fine now. There's no demons around. Sorry, go ahead, tell me.
So you play in the lands of Orthodoxia, and this territory is it used to be a very religious place, and all the inhabitants have very deep faith, and they have this hierarchy with like a main church with a hierarchy, and there are some events happening that were considered like a super blasphemy and unleash some kind of cataclysm in this universe. And these cataclysms produced like a rain of ashes, and all the world was covered in ashes, and all these inhabitants were covered in ashes as well. And after that, they raised from these ashes, completely transformed into devious creatures. And that happened to everyone but the penitent one, which is the character you will be controlling in this game, the part you will be playing as a player. And then you are in this world.
I like how you said the part. It's like you're a part. It's like like the Shakespeare. Everyone's a character. Everyone's and the whole world's a stage. Please continue.
So all these things are very early, because we are working in this project for 6 months only, and it was our strategy to focus first in the aesthetics, because we knew that we were heading to Kickstarter, and we needed to focus on the aesthetics part to have some visually interesting proposal. So we have like a basic idea of what is going to be the lore and the story, but it really it's really going to be like the objective of the upcoming months, to settle down on the story and the motivations of the character and stuff. But right now what we know is that you are like a person that doesn't really know what happened around him, but suddenly there are lots of devious creatures that want you dead for some reason, and you have to explore the world, defend yourself, or slaying these creatures, and probably heading towards a central cathedral where all these blasphemous events took place, and that's all I can say, I guess, about the story, because so far we are exploring different ideas, and it's probably going to have heavy changes in the future. So I don't want to disappoint anyone.
Sure. Can we go some really targeted questions? So the world
Yes.
of Orthodoxia, religious based, right? So that's the it's not a secular society. Can we say that?
No.
So it's a very religious society. Can you tell me, is there only one religion in this world?
Yes, there is only one religion in this world. This is like a metaphor of our own experience growing up here, uh, which uh, which we have a super huge influence from the Catholics iconography and art. And yeah, if you were born here, that's one of the main influence you're gonna have in terms of art, iconography, and architecture, and everything mostly. So this is like a bit of a metaphor of this based on our own experience.
Okay, so it's religious based. Is it a closed society? Is it welcoming to others? Like, can you say anything about the let's say the day to day thing? Like, how are people? I mean, do they trade? Do they do what? Is it a medieval maybe society in terms of technology? Is there any magic in this world?
I can safely say that there's probably not going to be many magic stuff there. We haven't settled on this just yet, but based on the amount of things we have discussed yet and present on the aesthetic proposal in the Kickstarter, we haven't so far we haven't put any magical elements in there, so it's probably gonna stay like that, but you never know. And it has a very medieval like touch. It's probably not going to be canon medieval, so because it's actually fantasy world. So, but yeah, it's gonna look a little bit in terms of aesthetics and the technology you will find, like chains and things like that. It's gonna look a little bit like medieval technology.
Okay, so kind of bouncing off that a little bit, Bloodhunter asks in the chat, will there be multiple weapons in the game and the possibility to change your character? I'm not sure if he means because there's going to be one single character, right? And I'm going to let you expand on that. But can you change maybe the sex of your character? Can you customize it? Is that any is that in plan?
We haven't found a way to do this already, and it is a bit of a problem because our artistic goal was to offer a very artisan pixel art. So everything you see there has been painted pixel by pixel by our artist, frame by frame. So changing weapons and changing the aspect will like make the amount of work for the artist like go insane. So it's super heavy right now. So having these elements to be swappable, something like that, will be make everything almost impossible. We will have to employ techniques, different techniques to make this happen, and that probably going to pervert the artistic intention of this artisan old school pixel art. But we are trying to explore. We are exploring what are the real possibilities of this, because obviously we want to have a very complex progression in the player, and we want to offer, in terms of gameplay, we want to offer different builds for the player. So we need to find the proper way to do this without driving our artists to commit suicide.
Jesus, they're not going to. Come on, they're like, no, just. I mean, if you get $1 million, you could hire a few
Yeah,
more people. It's like, I mean,
yeah,
it's like,
obviously,
oh,
obviously.
this game is like 50% artists now because anyone wants a sword, a mace. Everyone wants a woman, big breasts, like stuff like that, like blonde, brunette. Like, what does they want?
Yeah,
Yeah,
obviously,
I mean
if we were
that's
to have
yeah.
like a legion of our pixel artists, we
Mm.
will be able to do this. But it really, there aren't so many pixel artists that are this good. I'm not implying that we have like the best in the world or something like that, but
Oh yeah,
it's
you did. You did. You just threw shade on every single. It's like, I mean, I'm not saying it's just we have the best pixel artists, and it's hard to find people as good as ours. I mean,
no,
I'm kidding.
it's
I
not
understand.
that,
Yeah.
but it has something to of truth in it because obviously these are techniques that are not like state of the art right now. All the trends are going somewhere else in terms of 3D or skeletal animation and things like that. And there are obviously better pixel artists and many pixel artists, but probably they all are busy doing something else. So it's not like we're gonna have like 10 super talented pixel artists to join the team, and so we have to in the end we have to be really careful because if you suddenly have multiply the scope of the game, then you're just putting everything in risk. And obviously, a game needs to be. We need to make a game that is not that big, so we are able to make it really good.
Okay, so basically, it's gonna take a much more to put customization options, and depending on
Now
you're considering something.
we're gonna have a lot of customization, but we don't know right now how, in terms of aesthetics, I don't know how these customization are gonna look. So maybe we have customization that only affects stats and the number of combos you can perform. But maybe you will have to look. You maybe cannot have like complements for your clothing or something like that because that will be will imply to remake all the sprites and it will
Animation,
be
then
crazy. Yeah, because
yeah, yeah.
there are many. The if you probably have noticed, but we are using this super smooth style for the animation, and that requires a lot of frames and a lot of painting. So if we were to redo all this work to change the appearance of the player, that would be like there's no more time to do anything else. So
Yeah, mountains of work. Yeah. Someone else asked in the chat. 1 second, where is it? What the hell? Okay. Wait. What the hell? Someone asked about updates on the PlayStation 4 and Switch. We haven't talked about platforms, but if you want
yes.
to address it now.
So we have many backers right now asking for console support, and many fans asking, okay, I'm not gonna back until I know I can play on the Switch. And many of them are saying, okay, put some stretch goal, and if you get the money, then you do it. But it
As if it's that easy,
doesn't.
yes.
Yeah, it doesn't really work like that because it's not just the money. You have to have the experience. You have to have the contacts in the industry to do that. And our approach to do this, because we are very committed to make a multi-platform game, is our goal since the beginning. But the only way we are going to be able to do this if we find the right partners to do it. So we are looking for a publisher partnership to secure this. So this is so the way we want this to happen is that we find someone that say, okay, we want to work with you, and you focus on the PC version, and then we have these people over here and here that is gonna be making the ports for you because they have a lot of experience and they know how to work with PlayStation 4 and Xbox One and Nintendo Switch. And we are working this out, and as soon that we have this deal sign up, then we will announce this on the campaign. Let's hope it happens the sooner the better.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be great because as you said, people are interested in, and I think someone asked about PayPal, about any offering. I don't know what the heck that is, but someone asked about the possibility
Yes,
to
that's because
pledge to PayPal.
Kickstarter only takes credit cards. That's
Mm-hmm.
a very common problem, and we are working on a solution. And probably next week, or maybe in the final week, we will be setting up a platform that will enable PayPal participation in the Kickstarter. We're working on
Okay,
that,
so
guys.
let's it's in the works. It's coming
It's in the
soon,
works,
hopefully.
yeah.
Well, it's yeah, I mean, it's if you can, of course, it would just make more people, you know, it will allow more people to invest and pledge and get a copy, and help you along the way, right, financially. So
Absolutely.
if that's
With
possible, I mean, Kickstarter could offer that by default from the
yes,
beginning, so
I don't
developers
know.
don't
I
have
don't
to do
know.
this. I'm just
I,
saying.
I don't know why they don't work this out already, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird, but yeah. Let's go back to to the world of Blasphemous, because we're talking. Okay, so it's Orthodoxia. It's a land, very religious. People are sinners, I guess. Sinners, not saints. So tell me how this age of corruption, because you mentioned the age of corruption, how the age of corruption actually came. Why did it come to be? Why is there an age of corruption happening? And what's the players? Does the player come in during the age of corruption or just around the end of it? What's going on there?
So when you start playing, you are in the beginning of the age of correction. The age of correction is actually the starts when this high pontiff gets transformed into a tree, and it's some supernatural events happening related to the cult of the twisted one, which is the deity all these people are faithful to. And there are these events happening that has to do with how everyone has a different interpretation of religion, and there is like, this is the official one, and this is the interpretation that all the faithful people have in their own minds. And it's like a cataclysm. There's some eternal, not eternal, but there's the high pontiff transformed into a tree. Then it sets on fire. I don't know if I believe there are the actual people who set the tree on fire, and then it burns for 9 months, and all these ashes coming from this fire are the ashes who will end up covering the land and transforming people into hideous creatures. So it's a very fantasy-like event, but at the same time, the curious thing is that it may be similar to the narrative we can find in actual real religions. So it's like, okay, we are doing some fantasy, but we are trying to base everything on the same narrative elements that real religions have.
Would you say that this age of corruption is maybe is it an apocalypse? Is it a punishment from God or the deity? That people are praying to in Orthodoxia.
It's hard to say. I believe we don't have settled on this detail yet. We have to, when you're touching these themes, you have to be a little bit careful because you don't really want anyone to feel offense. And for us, it's very important to settle on something that it won't, annoy anyone, because for us, it's a labor of art, and all the reference we are using from religion is just in the aesthetics and the artistic side. We don't want to make any statement about religion is good or religion is bad. That's the freedom of religion that everyone has. We just want to say, okay, here in Spain, we've been very religious for many years, and that produced this series of artistical styles that are very interesting, and we want to play with that. We want to build a fantasy world from that, and we cannot offend or we will try not to offend or to annoy anyone in the process. So, and also everything that is story and lore related, I will say it again, it's just very early for a development stage. So you will be discovering this if you are considering to back the game. Then what you should know is that we are proud to work in a very open way. We were, for the last door, we did that, and it was amazing. It was to be very lousy about how the development was going and take every possible opportunity to let the fans participate in the design of the game and the writing of the stories. So we plan to do that once again. So if you want to leave the development of a game from the inside, I would recommend you to check our campaign and enroll.
Or to become a pixel artist and,
yeah, that would be really helpful.
Join the game kitchen.
Because we need an army of them.
Yeah. It's funny that you said that, people can, because Ian just commented and he said something that I don't know, maybe you can consider it. Can we get references to Spanish history such as like Ferdinand and Isabella as boss fights? I don't know who Ferdinand is or Isabella. They're probably ex-royalty, I guess. Spanish ex-royalty. Former.
Yeah, it's Isabel the Catholic one. That was the queen that was in charge of that took Cristobal Columbus to America. And she was a very creepy person, basically. She was very obsessed with religion. And yeah, very creepy.
She sounds like the perfect character for Blasphemous.
Yes. I believe she's going to do a feature, some kind of featuring at some point, but not her.
She's going to collaborate. She's going to
like a fantasy
someone inspired by her.
Yeah.
So another question on let's see, right? Weasel 455. Okay, I don't know why 455. How will the gameplay be? Okay, well, why not? Let's go. You know what? I had the flow. Okay, I had my fucking notes, but it's fine. Let's get through people's questions. That's fine. I like that. How will the gameplay be? What moves can the main character do? I saw normal attacks and a charge attack. What about evasion? Does he have a roll or block? Are you implementing moves with iframes? Wow, that's really detailed.
Yes, we have. As I said before, we focused it was our strategy. We focused on the aesthetics part for the first 6 months, but we actually have a playable prototype. And in this prototype, we have basic platform movements like walking, running, jumping, and going up ladders and things like that. And then we have basic combat movements, like he very well pointed out. And in this basic movements, we have like a normal combo attack and the charge attack, and then one evasive maneuver you can use. It's like a dash. So far, you just can't dash on the air, only on the floor. But as I said before, this is only the canvas, because the good thing is that we are starting prototyping. We are starting put the 100% focus on the gameplay. And now is when everything is going to be getting interesting. We need to try a lot of stuff, and we are trying to get touch of unique soul to the game, because we don't want to, copy anything. We want to be our own game. So it's a matter of trusting the process, and we are starting right now, and it's gonna be fun because there are so many things we can try, and we are gonna be listening to our fans about what they want to get to see in the game, and we will put that to test in the prototype, and if it makes the game better, it will stay, and if it doesn't make sense, then it will be killed, the feature. And feature by feature, we plan to find the soul of the game in terms of gameplay, and that is going to happen. It's happening right now as we speak.
Yeah, oh my god, there's a gameplay, like a fight prototype, and I'm not playing it.
Yeah, well, we have the playable prototype. Is going to be released probably if nothing weird happens. But our plan is to let all the people who backed the project to try this, and the day after the
Give
campaign
feedback?
finishes. So yes.
So
So
that's
with-
for as a reward, or both as a reward and maybe a feedback loop, to start the feedback loop as you continue development.
yeah, maybe to start the discussion about gameplay features. Yeah, why not? We were
Yeah,
we
yeah,
were
let's start early.
we wanted to show this publicly, but it's just a bit problematic because it's a prototype. It's not representing what we want to achieve with the game just yet, and we didn't know if that was going to be easy to communicate to the people. So maybe people will focus on everything that is missing in the prototype instead of what is actually there. So we say, okay, let's work with what we have, which is a very interesting proposition in terms of aesthetics and intentions. And from there, we gather a community of people who want to play this, and then we show the prototype to this community and start working with them. Let's start this discussion, this dialogue with them, and trust the process. Is that what we did with The Last Door, and it really worked very well in the end. So let's do that again. Let's have some fun. Let's make some amazing game together with our community.
You should. I say if there's anything playable, I think it's great to put it out there. But I mean, that's not the general rule, because Blasphemous, if people who are watching don't know, so it's on Kickstarter. It had the goal of $50,000, and now it's at over $131,000. So there was no need for any playable, build. So that's pretty cool. I think a lot of people are. I think you have over 2,000 backers, right? And actually, let me check now. You're actually, what am I saying? Almost 4,000 backers. So a lot of people are resonating with your intentions and what you've put forth at this point in time. So I think that's really good. It means that there are a lot of people who understand what you're trying to do, and trust you, regardless of something playable in this specific moment in time. They can be patient, so that's good.
So we are not trying to hide anything. So actually, we are going to release a video explaining what we have in terms of gameplay, and we're going to show publicly this playable in a video with a developer commentary on it. And it's just for us, it was very important to that people saw that we were not selling smoke. This is not a happy idea I had, and I put it on Kickstarter. We are trustworthy developers, and this is an actual game, and it is happening. We have a playable already, so we needed to communicate that, and that's why you see a lot of gameplay in the trailer. And
Yeah, but you didn't want people to focus on, this early stage. Because,
yeah,
you're right. A lot
because
of
it's
people will
very
comment, oh, but it doesn't have, obviously doesn't have anything. It's more than a year away from release, more than 18 months,
yeah,
so.
it's a very long stage, and we are just in the second step of this stair, of this ladder. So we didn't want people to judge the possibilities or the potential of the product just because we didn't have we didn't have the time to put everything we wanted.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, the earlier you start, right? Communicating with people, showing people what you have, in terms of not gameplay, right? But a little bit of gameplay, artwork and everything. It's just to build a community around the game. It's to build, excitement around the game, to communicate with people, like, what would you like to see? What would you like? So that's, and you have to trade, right? You have to trade. I mean, you could wait for another, let's say, 6 months and maybe have a playable build, but then maybe more of the features will be locked. Whereas if you start now, if you get people involved now, they could have a bigger impact on where Blasphemous eventually goes.
Exactly, and that's one of our specialties, to be able to listen. We know how, we are a developer that knows how to listen to his community, because we did that for 8 episodes in The Last Door, and that's our main value. So we needed to kickstart this community, the sooner the better, and that's why we are here in Kickstarter at the moment.
Yeah, so Michael on the in the chat, really really nice question. I like that. It's like, yeah, that's I like this curiosity. Can you recommend any books about the creepy folklore and religion of Sevilla? I say Sevilla, why not? Or Spain that influence your team. So any books, or any books about the folklore or religion.
Well, I probably can, because we have this list of books, but they are mostly in Spanish and with Spanish titles, and I don't really recall them by memory, but we have like this list. But I take duly note of these suggestions, because I believe this
Maybe you
could
can make
be
a post, like an
yeah,
update, or like a post, a blog post.
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna, maybe later, I'm gonna take the first one or the first two and put into Twitter, and then afterwards maybe I have an update for the campaign recommending this particular reads. But
Okay, so 2, actually 3. Sorry, go ahead, tell me.
No, we're saying just he can just go to the Wikipedia and search for Spanish Inquisition, for instance, and start looking into creepy stuff if he has like this need.
It's like Sevilla folklore, and like, just you'll find something probably.
Yeah, probably.
It's
Yeah.
Google. Actually, and Michael said, like, please post that. I would love to see it. So that would be
Excellent.
if you can make a post, that would be great.
I will do.
A lot of questions about the bosses now. Sebastian said, I'm curious about the philosophy behind the boss designs. Then we have Noiri, who said, no, not Noiri, sorry, Noiri said something else. Vector Rocks, will the boss fights be an ability challenge or like a puzzle? And how many boss fights will there be in total? So those are like 3 big questions, all regarding bosses. So let's talk about bosses.
So, bosses, I would say it's a combination of puzzle and ability. So, in terms of, first you have to learn how the boss behave and what are their weaknesses, and try to plan a strategy, and then you will probably need some ability to put this strategy into place. And what were the other questions? Sorry.
The philosophy. No, that's fine because there were two questions. I understand the philosophy behind the boss designs. So someone was interested specifically about the designs of the bosses.
And the number of bosses.
Yes, and that was
So,
another question. Yes.
so the philosophy is like take the most impactful iconographic concepts we can think of, and that's it. So okay, we have this idea, and this idea, when I think of it, it just something big pops into my mind. So okay, this should be a big thing, a heavy thing. So then we start thinking about how can we turn this into a creature that is super creepy and super big and very, very, scary. And that's basically it. So it's like take like the most creepy elements of this folklore are the ones who will end up becoming the bosses. And we don't know how many of them are going to be. We are in the process of determining how big is really going to be. And obviously that is going to have the amount, the final amount we end up getting in Kickstarter is going to have a say on this, probably. And yeah, we are in the process of determining all these details. We have like
So. Yeah,
four
sorry,
or
no, go ahead.
five. We have like 4 or 5 of them figure out of these bosses,
Yeah.
but we'll be obviously want more.
So four or five right now, like in the planning stages, let's say, or like
Yes.
maybe decided upon, and then that's I mean that sounds pretty good. But how can you? So you said that it's a combination of skill and puzzle. Would you say that the boss fights? Do you want the boss fights because they're not implemented right now yet? Will the boss fights be something that takes a long time, let's say maybe 15 20 minutes? Is it going to be something like that, like a major fight that takes also a significant time investment, to learn their moves and then to
Well, I don't know. I figure that maybe some difference between more and less skilled players, but I don't know. It would be really cool to make them like really difficult, but then we'll have to have like a way to make them less difficult, because not all players are suitable for Dark Soul level of difficulty. So I don't know, it's very indeterminate at this moment. So we need to explore the boss fighting mechanics, and we are really looking forward to share this with all our fans the moment we start having something.
So you feedback, right, is going to be a feedback loop between you and the team and the people who pledge. Well, that's good. That's always good. So Tomato says in the chat. So is the whole game just killing and killing?
No, there's going to be a lot of exploration, and there is going to be a lot of secrets and Easter eggs and narrative, mostly. So if you want to, you just can try to kill from the first to the last creature. That would be one way to play it. But we are going to make a game that you can stop every once in a while and explore what's around you, and try to I see some enemy doing this route. I'm gonna try to follow it and see what happened. And if you do that, then something else happen. And if you figure out there may be some clues in the environment, some symbols, and maybe you see one symbol a little bit forward in another part of the world, and then you make connections, and then you try to do something you did before in a place where you didn't supposed to do that, and then something weird happens. So we are trying to build something complex, and with a lot of this meaningful stuff that you can do and then can happen to you as a player. That's our goal.
So, speaking about complexity, right? Because what would be more complex, right? Well, the whole world, obviously, but in the on the individual level, the main character. So, can you tell me a little bit about a little bit more about the penitent one, and maybe his place in the world, and also how he's going to progress in terms of maybe power and ability, because the skill comes from the player, obviously, but what's he going to offer? Like, is he going to grow? Is it RPG like? How is he going to progress through the game?
So we have this stats, like a complex stat system that works internally. You don't really need to know much about this, but you will be able to equip items in several slots. You have like this inventory, and in the inventory you have slots for different types or families of items, and these are changing the stats and the amount of abilities you can perform. We are going to try different mechanics and see which ones work better, but right now we are trying to implement some stamina-like mechanic that you have to have some management of the stamina. And obviously this changes a lot with the equipable and consumable items. And yeah, that's probably the main thing. And then you have the obvious abilities and skills that you will be growing as a player. And we want it to be like, we don't want to be like this game that you need to have this weapon so you can open this door. It's going to be more like, okay, you have arrived one area, and then the enemies that are waiting for you there are too tough for you, maybe, and then you will say, okay, maybe I need to go somewhere else first. Or maybe you can complement this with your own abilities as a player and try to, I'm gonna give it these guys a try. I'm gonna stay here until I learn how to kill you. So it's something like that. It's like,
can you tell me? Sorry, go ahead.
No, please ask.
No, I was thinking. I was wondering. Will the new abilities, like the abilities of your character, will they unlock? Will you be able to find some things? Will they unlock as you, I don't know, get experience? Will there be an experience system implemented, or is it, you grow with your power grows with the elements you find around you?
It's more about equipping items and the combinations of items, and maybe some items, when a particular set of items are equipped, some things may happen that are not obvious at the first time. And actually I believe that we are not going the levels way in like an RPG, or we are going to, I don't know, maybe we start prototyping stuff and we finally end up implementing the levels, but so far we haven't considered a level system. So we are trying to do it some other way, but we still need to find what's the proper way to do it.
And something that we talked about before starting the the live interview. Will there be any crafting? Will you be able to make like potions or health potions, stamina potions, or anything like that? Or is it something that you'll be able to buy maybe from NPCs?
They're not crafting per se, but with the equipable items, there are some combinations that will produce unexpected results. So when you have this particular item and this other item equipped, and apparently there are no connection about them, but when you have both of them at the same time, then you will have unexpected result, and all of this will be based on something in the lore, because maybe a character in the story of this universe uses these two objects in the past for this and this. Okay, so if you pay attention to the narrative, you may find these combinations that produces cool stuff. And then we have something really cool that is quite similar but different at the same time, and it's going to be one of the next stretch goals. It's called the Seeds, and the Seeds is a very nice idea we had for having a twist in the progression of the player, and it's something that you can collect. So you will be finding types of seeds of plants, and you take these seeds, and when you have one of these seeds, you know what it's for, okay? But when you plant this, the plant will actually glow in someone else's playthrough. It's like the messages system in Dark Souls, that you plant these messages and someone else saw that. But then you have this seed for a plant that increases your health, okay? And then you have a seed for a plant that is poisonous. And you can plant, for instance, you can take one of the poisonous one and plant it right before a boss fight. Then someone else in their playthrough will find a plant, and he won't be able to know if the effect of consuming this plant will be positive or negative for him. So we will have to either ignore the plant or risk and consume it and see what happened. And we believe this could be really fun and very interesting way for players to interact in a different way. And we still need to prototype this and to see how it will become and how it will fit the rest of the game.
So maybe I'm getting a bit too specific about this question, but so these seeds, right? They're for a stretch goal that's at 150,000. So that
yes.
From what I'm seeing, you will reach that. Yeah.
Yeah, let's hope we did, because I'm really curious about having the resources to explore this particular feature.
No, but I'm interested in, like, if this, and it's likely to be implemented, I think, because you're doing really well with the pledges. Will the players be able to have maybe an object, find an item or something that will allow them to see the effects of these seeds, or are you thinking no way, it's going to be a gamble at every time? So you're never going to know what you're going to get. Just,
Yeah, maybe like there's some item that you can collect, but it's very rare, and that will allow you to determine if the effects on a plant are going to be positive or negative. But maybe I don't tell you which exactly are going to be the effects. Just say, okay, it's positive or it's negative. I don't know. There's many possibilities when you work with items. It's like, okay, anything that you can come up with can maybe fit into the game if we do it right. So there are many possibilities.
Okay, I'm really I really like that because I read about the season. I was thinking, okay, these would work like this, but okay, if it's a gamble, then it would definitely make the game a bit more. It's like, what am I going to do with this plant? Like, are people who play Blasphemous nice and plant good things, or are they going to screw with me? So
Yeah,
yeah, that would
that's
be.
because it's the funniest thing with Dark Soul messages is that you always wonder if they are telling the truth or are trolling with you. So are you trolling me or are you trying to give me some real advice? You never know. Oh well,
Yeah, it's a
once you
gamble.
have, yeah, when you have died once, okay, now you know they were trolling.
Yeah, exactly. You find out that you were told after you die. Yeah, just
Exactly,
don't trust
yes,
people.
but
Okay, I mean, as a general rule, if you play games, don't trust people. That's. I mean, no, I'm kidding, but no, in general, like, with gaming, no. With anything else, depending on the person. Let's go quickly to the chat. So Noiri said, not sure if this was asked. No, it wasn't actually. But will it have different endings depending on your behavior slash actions or actions? Are you thinking of
so
multiple endings?
yeah, we are very early in the story development, so we don't know yet. But of hopefully, if we have some interesting twists we can offer, maybe we could have different ending depending on the actions of the player. Or maybe it doesn't make
Okay, early
sense.
time.
It really depends on how the story turns out to be.
Right, and something that's kind of related. It is actually related from that tomato. What's the end goal?
Well, but the
Someone asked
actual
about multiple
thing,
goals. Like, what's the end? Yeah.
yeah, the actual thing is we haven't settled yet about this. We don't know if the actual goal is going to be to take the throne of the High Pontiff or to revert the consequences of this cataclysm, or just, I don't know, set everything on fire. I don't know. There are many possibilities we don't know yet.
Again,
Again, the story is very early stage, just basic seeds, and we hope. Well, we hope no. We're sure we're gonna come up with something really good because that's our specialty, and we are confident that we are gonna make something very cool with the story.
a question from Piccolo CPC, who I guess came a bit later. You're talking about items to equip. Will the items be visible on the Pentiment 1's sprite? No big deal if they don't. We kind of touched on that, but if you can.
Well, maybe some are. Maybe some, if you equip something that maybe protects you, maybe then you have like some particles in the outside or something like that. But I don't know. We'll try to everything if it's doable in terms of not multiplying the numbers of animation by 100, then we will obviously make some visual reference for it, and yeah, that would be the approach for it.
Okay, something that's like totally out there. Will we meet the god in Blasphemous?
Sorry, I
Is
didn't
there a
catch.
god?
Is there a god?
Will we will yes, and will we meet him during the game?
Okay, I don't
It's
know.
like only if you die.
Only yeah,
If you
it's in the die
if
you
you
die
die,
the screen.
yeah. If
I
you
don't
die,
know.
you'll meet your maker. Yes.
Yeah, probably it's
Okay.
maybe
Yeah.
it's cool that you find the actual god, and maybe it's nothing that you were expecting it to be. That
Like a
will be like a
cockroach.
super interesting twist of events.
Yeah, there are no gods. It's like no, like you were lied to. There was no one god. There were like 20 of them. It's like
Yeah,
ancient Greece all over again.
many possibilities
I
right
don't know.
now.
Yeah. Okay. So it's still early days, but that's because that's one cool thing about you're taking inspiration from something, but from something real, right? Like history, religion, and but you can play with it however you like, and the results, well, we'll have to see, I guess, in the full game. Speaking of results, so I read in the Kickstarter page, on the Kickstarter, yeah, page. I was thinking, did I say green light? No, Kickstarter page, about the levels having a non-sequential design. Can you elaborate on that? What does that mean exactly? How does that, you know,
Okay,
manifest?
so that basically means that you can always have a choice on where to go next. So you may be in a level, and the level you start in a point, and then you will see like multiple exits, and each one of these exits will take you to a different place. So it's like a bit of a maze, and it's not like in an arcade game that you start on the left and you end up the level on the right. Okay, so it's more like games like Fez, with multiple doors and with mid-size levels interconnected, like through these doors. So in the end, you will have like we're trying to achieve like the sensation of being exploring a huge world on your own pace and making the decisions on where to go next.
So, when you after you visit a level, let's say, so you go to the level, you kill everything that there is. If you return to that level, are you thinking of respawning all the enemies, or how will that go? Have you thought about that?
Well, we have tried, and we haven't really decided yet, because there are pros and contras to both approaches, and I don't know. We will have
Okay.
to, yeah, we will need to prototype the exploration mechanics as well, and like just like Comeback, it depends on the results of this prototyping process. And I know I'm giving a very poor responses, but please
No, they're not poor. It's early. Come on. No.
bear with
No,
me,
it's
and
it's
just
it's 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 like
I'm the producer, and my buddy Enrique, he's the creative mastermind, but he was ill today, so he couldn't be here with me today. He could
it's okay.
have
We'll make another
elaborated a
interview.
lot.
Like we'll make an interview when you have maybe a playable build or an alpha or something, like, we did it, we've made this amazing thing and we can show it off, let's do another interview and say like, great, let's make, how many people are in the game kitchen? 27. Okay, let's have all of them here. Like, that would
One
be,
by
I
one.
actually would well, yeah. Well, not but no, everyone at the same time, that's the thing. It's like, and everyone speaking Spanish.
Oh
That's
my
so we're
god.
clear. So the next interview, no, I'm kidding because I don't know Spanish. I would understand probably a few things, but no. But we should definitely do another interview, later on when you have, something more, when you can say, okay, this is done, this is decided. But again, everyone who's watching, these are early days. It's not like nobody's trying to be too evasive. It's just right now, it's just feeling, the water, see how things work, what people would like to see, how things could be implemented. So again, early days. You have to take that into account.
Yes, games do evolve a lot during development. You may start with some proposal or some intentions, and then during the development process you realize that actually the more interesting stuff is that, instead of what you thought was going to be, and then you shift a little bit your focus and build your game around it. So we want to do a couple of things in terms of narrative and feeling, and bringing back the arcade aesthetics with superpowers of today's computers and consoles. And that's like what's written in stone, these little elements, but the rest is gonna be figured out along the way, and we are just getting started.
And it's a journey made together with everyone who pledges. Well,
Exactly.
pretty much everyone, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a question from F in the chat. Sorry, but what is this thing on the guy's head, on the Penitence one, I guess, and what's it for? The
on its
headgear.
head.
It's quite distinct. Yeah, it's quite distinct, his headgear, spike and
Okay.
stuff. What is it exactly?
So this is an example of people wanting to build the layers, and what they discover at the end is that there's the reality waiting for them. So back in the Inquisition days, when someone was accused of any of the multiple sins you could be committing back then, and then the trial of the Inquisition normally would imply that they will apparate with you, walking like a walk of shame through the city up to the carts place. And during this parade, you will have like this cone in your head. And that cone is, I don't know how, but it remain in many religious shapes and activities that are still happening in the present day. So here we have during the Holy Week, the Easter time, we have these parades in Seville, like each brotherhood, there's a brotherhood in each church, and each brotherhood make this parade, and all of them are wearing these tunics with these gun heads, and they are in different colors. Like this brotherhood has white on the bottom part and purple on the top, and this other one is fully black, and the other one is red. But the silhouette and the shape is very similar to the Penitent one, and that's the main inspiration for the basic shape of the main character.
Yeah, because it's so stylish, it's still being used today. It's so
Yeah.
awesome, it looks so great. It's like, who wouldn't want a heavy metal cone
Well, actually, it's
with thorns around? Yeah.
the current
It
one
didn't
is,
have metal,
is not, yeah, it's not metallic. It's fabric with cardboard on the inside, I guess.
Yeah, pussies. Back then, back in the Inquisition days, people were tough and could have had lead on their heads. But now everyone's a pussy and it's like cardboard. Come on.
Exactly.
That's some people are like whatever. Okay, so a few more questions in the chat. Don't know if it was asked already, but is there a role play or upgrade system like in Castlevania where you level your character up? We can answer that. It's not going to be like you're not going to have levels, right, on your character.
So far, we are not considering leveling up, just in the usual way we are used to. But once again, you never know, because you can start you know where you start, but not where you end when you start prototyping. So, but so far, no levels.
Right,
No
so
leveling.
that's not exactly in plan. Ian Smith asks, what are the favorite games of people in the game kitchen? And that's something that we want to talk already. So just, if you can tell me, what are you playing? Or are you all reading like super books from the... everyone in the game kitchen is like, they have like stacks of old books. They got them from the Vatican library, and they're all like reading through all of them. So go ahead.
Every time you close the cover of one, a lot of dust coming out from the book.
Yeah, but it's holy dust.
So right now we playing like today I'm going to play Rhyme, which is another Spanish game that came out
Right. Yeah.
Friday, and
That's
it's
okay.
really catches my eye. I'm gonna see, and many friends there in this project, so I need to play it. And I don't know, we've been playing a lot of Metroidvanias, obviously, to catch references like Slain, for instance, and Silent Sanctuary is a favorite of some people in the team. There are some Persona 5 fans in the team, and I don't know, we play a lot, just not like the 3 past months. We haven't played that much because all the preparation of the campaign. So if I look back to the last game I played, it's like, oh my god, what was the last time I slept?
2.5 months ago. It's like it was a Friday.
Yes.
Like I remember the last time I slept. It was a Friday. I played The Witcher for 2 hours. I had a nice time, and then anyway. Okay, so those are a pretty eclectic taste, I would say. I mean, Rhyme and Persona 5. Those are quite Metroidvanias too, quite different games. So that's very
And
versatile. I like that.
yeah, and in this year, the ones that I liked most has been The Witness and Inside. Inside really, really, really
All right.
blew my mind.
Classic, I would say, because
Yeah, I'd
it's
say
a few
so.
years old now, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but I haven't played like, yeah, I played like 4 months ago, something like that, and the way they managed to control the character, especially in the last part, and I'm not gonna say anything about it because I don't want to spoil anybody, but it's very impressive how instinctively you can control this weird character at the end of the game.
Yeah. I think if people who watch this channel have seen me finish Inside, I believe. So yeah, if you want to see what that meant, like what weird character, just check the channel, because it's on there, and of course everyone who's here should subscribe. Damn it, I'm kidding. Yes, actually, I'm not kidding. So let's go to another question. It's just, you have to shell, right? You have to kind of plug in. It's like, I see like 20, 30 people, something like that. And like, oh shit. Like, most of these people are not subscribed to my channel. I should mention my channel more often. I'm kidding. Okay, so Blood Hunter asked, will there be a map system? And if yes, will there be something like fast travel?
Well, these things are probably going to happen. We don't know if actually fast travel is going to be required, and that's the kind of thing you see when you get when you do a prototype and you put people in front of this prototype and you take your prototype to the trade shows and fairs and show the game to the general audiences in a controllable environment. And then you, as a designer, take your notebook and start writing down everything you see the people is trying to do and what's working and what is not. So it's probably gonna be some kind of map if you are really if you are serious about making a big world, then probably some kind of map system is gonna be needed. And if it's too big, then probably some teleporting is already needed. But maybe if we are making the interconnection in between levels the right way, maybe we are able to achieve something that I really like in Dark Souls. Is that like you may be apparently very far away from 2 points, but then you discover there is a secret passage between these two apparently apart zones of the world, and maybe we can go that route, or maybe we can have teleporters. I don't know.
Fair enough. So another question, Christian Bazo asks, will you put any Easter eggs about the Sevilla Holy Week?
Well, we will put a lot of Easter eggs. I don't know if they will be related to that in particular or some other folklore stuff or just the own story of the game. But there is going to be a lot of stuff for the players to discuss about, because that's very engaging and very cool when you have you have found something on your own and on your own, and you are willing to share that knowledge with the rest of the fans of the game. That type of interaction between the fandom of a game is something that we really want to happen. So we are planning to put a lot of this in the game.
Okay, so something gameplay related this time. Let's see. Okay, are there going to be shops and the type of currency in the game? That's
With
thing Droid asked.
that's something we haven't discussed. I've never heard my partner Enrique to discuss anything about a currency, so I will be inclined to say that there is not going to be one.
Okay, can we call Enrique right now just to make sure?
Okay.
I'm kidding.
I'm WhatsApping him. So it's probably
no currency.
So no currency, yeah, probably not.
But will there be any sort of trading in the game? Maybe with NPCs?
Yes, probably there is
Maybe
trading.
like bartering?
Yes. Or like, okay, you have this item, and this item is cool because it gives you this advantage or that. But then you can also, additionally, you can just use the item for you, or maybe you can give it to an NPC and see what happened. That would be a much more cooler approach, I guess.
Yeah, I don't need this crappy sword. What can you give me? I can give you 2 loaves of bread. Oh, okay.
Okay.
That's pretty crap, but okay.
But you can make a sandwich now.
Yeah, true. And if you don't have any health or something, a sandwich I guess would be good. Let's see. Weasel says, will there be more awesome orchestra metal songs like in the trailer, or are you going for more of an Admo thing? Or maybe no music like in Dark Souls except bosses? Like, we can talk about the audio since Weasel asked. Like, what are the... how's the audio, going to be like? What are your intentions in that regard?
Sorry, I didn't catch the question. There's something weird with the sound on my end.
It's okay. It happens. It's the internet. Or Skype. Freaking shit, Skype. Will there be more awesome orchestra metal songs like in the trailer, or are you going for more of an Admo thing? I'm not sure what Admo means. Or maybe no music like in Dark Souls except bosses. So will you have a soundtrack that plays out, maybe one track for each area, or will there be no music and there's going to be a soundtrack only when when you fight bosses, or
Yeah. There is several approach you can take in the music, and we are exploring them. But the important thing is that you don't have to. The music doesn't feel too repetitive. So probably when you are just exploring, it's going to be very mild. And then when something cool's about to happen, then you will have this very meaningful song playing. Okay, so it's something like a combination.
Okay, since we're pressed for time, okay, so let's go quickly. How many hours are you planning for? How long would the Blasphemous be?
So like a quick
Do you
playthrough
have
would
any
be like 6 hours, 8 hour, and with an average of 10, 15, something like that.
Okay, and in this specific point in time, what platforms? PC, only Windows, or also like Mac OS and Linux?
So we are trying to achieve consoles with distribution partners, but right now I can only talk about PC, Windows, Mac, and Linux. But I'm very confident that consoles are going to happen very soon. But that's all I
Nice,
can
okay,
say.
that's that. Okay, graphics wise, well, yeah, I could say engine wise, you're using Unity, right?
Yes, exactly.
Any, reason for that specifically, or are you just familiar with it and you know the ins and outs of it?
No, we did the last season of The Last Door with the Unity, and we were comfortable with it, and it works well.
Okay, so sorry, I'm not trying to rush here, but Mauricio has another interview apparently. So that's, I mean, we already got him for like what, way too long, an hour and a half. We can talk for longer probably. So let's talk about the campaign. So it's on right now. It's on until June 21st. What's the lowest pledge for people to get the game, and what other pledges give access to more stuff?
Actually, I'm gonna need to go because I have like a
Oh.
national radio calling me, and they're gonna kill me.
Okay. So
I probably have to
Okay,
go
so
live
thanks-
on radio, so I don't-
that's fine. If you want to say something to people watching, please go ahead now.
okay. So first, thank to you for having me, and for all our listeners, please check out the campaign, and I will be more than happy to answer your questions over there. And please, if you wanna leave the development of a game from the inside, be welcome to join this experience. I believe it's gonna be
Okay,
worth
so
it.
think. Yeah, hopefully yes. I think so. It looks definitely what you have looks really good. Thanks for coming. If you wanna go, please go ahead. I'm just going to wrap up and tell people about how they can pledge.
Okay, thank you really very
Okay,
much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Talk soon, and we definitely have to do another interview.
Of course, whenever you want. Bye.
Oh, well, when you have a playable build. Playable build.
You will have it soon enough.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, bye. Bye, Mauricio. All right, so I'm on my lonesome now. Let's talk about quickly about Blasphemous, about what you can do if you're interested in the game. There's a link in the description below. You can go to its Kickstarter page. It's available right now. As you can see right there, like right up here, it has a $15,000 goal, and it's already at 131,000. So it's pretty much sure that it's going to be done, hopefully. Well, okay, maybe that's saying too much. It's going to be done. It's actually doing really well. And if you want to get the game, let's see. So in order to get the game, you need to pledge at least $20. So that's the minimum amount. $20 for the full game. And if you're interested in getting in on a beta, see, something that I wish I asked if there's going to be an early access period. Maybe we'll increase my pledge amount soon. That's great for everyone watching. If you like that I do interviews, if you like what I do here on the channel, I do live streams, gameplay videos, developer interviews, as you can see here. You can subscribe. I try to do this on a daily basis, and there's definitely going to be more interviews in the future, because that's something that I really like. Okay, so let's check out really quick. Okay, so for beta access, you have to give $25. I know that there was an update from the Game Kitchen, and they mentioned that there if during the campaign there's going to be a deal made with a publisher for console versions, for PlayStation 4, maybe Switch, Xbox One, they will add, they will put an add-on so people can increase their pledge and get a copy for a specific console. So that's in the works. Hopefully in the next, let's see, 23 days, because the campaign still has 23 days, and in this period, it's more than 3 weeks. Hopefully they'll be able to lock in a deal and get the game on consoles right now, PC. So Windows, that's it. Okay, so $25 or more if you want beta access, and for alpha early access it's $40. It doesn't really say what that means, like when you'll be able to get the alpha, but I do think it's going to be this year. I'm pretty sure there were some there was mention of a build, I'm not sure where. There was a mention of how many builds they plan. It was a really good timeline. What the fuck? Oh, this one, production milestones. There we are. Okay, so beta in the third quarter of 2018 around. So that's a year away. But alpha second quarter, so that's also a year away. Let's see, player progression prototype, the disciple pledge. Okay, so if you pledge at least $40, I guess. Let me see. That's the 40. Yeah, at least $40 will get you access to. Oh Jesus, so many rewards. That's pretty cool, though, I gotta say. Okay, so at least $40 will get you the narrative prototype, which is going to come in September, estimate obviously, and then a player progression prototype for November, and after that, of course, alpha and beta. So that was that was, you know, the interview about Blasphemous, everyone. I think it's a really interesting game. It has a lot of potential. It looks like the type of game that can you know, can carry itself, you know, on narrative alone. Hopefully that's going to be the case. I have hopes for it, but we'll have to see how it goes. And yeah, it's just sometime it's away. It's quite a bit away from release, so you have to keep that in mind. You have to give the Game Kitchen a little bit of trust on that. It's not their first project, sure, but it's still a Kickstarter project. So if you're wary, you know, listen to the whole interview, you know, and if that inspires you, then consider pledging. Thanks everyone for watching. I'm Christian with Cryptic Hybrid. If you like this interview, please give it a like, click on the thumbs up button. That's always helpful, you know, to get YouTube's attention, to spread the word and get this video out for, you know, more people as recommended and stuff. So that would be great. And again, if you want to see more, subscribe to the channel. I do live streams on a daily basis, gameplay videos pretty much on a daily basis. Actually, I uploaded a gameplay video of Warcube earlier today, and I do want to make another gameplay video now of a game that's in the works, but yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see about that. Thanks so much everyone for watching. I'll see you again, well, very soon, tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow for a new live stream. Until the next time we see each other, thank you and have an awesome day.